That down. Let's move on to this, shall we? Andor. Ann and I finally got around to watching Rogue One again. Like, we've been planning to watch Rogue One again since Andor ended, and it is exactly what everybody said. Rogue One now just hits differently.
Right.
It just hits different. Like, Rogue One was already maybe the best Star Wars movie since Return of the Jedi anyway, but it's elevated now. And as a matter of fact, when it ends, what do they send us? Hope. As soon as that ends, Anne was like, well, now we got to watch A New Hope again. I'm like, we're down. I'm down. So let's do it, baby. But anyway, so Andor, easily the greatest Star Wars thing ever made, at least in the last 30 years. It is just next level, has a real shot, I think, of winning Best Series at the Emmys. It'll definitely get nominated. 100% is going to get nominated for Best Drama Series. I'd say a good 35% chance it wins. And those are high odds. But there's a couple of interesting things about it. Number one was the price tag. Tony Gilroy was recently at an event where he kind of let it slip how much Andor combined, season 1 and 2, has ended up costing Disney. The price tag for 2 seasons of Andor, $650 million. $650 million. Which, by the way, again, I'm the one who's always calling that Kathleen Kennedy needs to be removed, and she does, but give credit where it's due. He also goes on the warpath, Tony Gilroy, in that same interview, talking about she was the one who fought Disney all the way to get the money for it and to let them do what they wanted to do. He said, do you think Disney in a million years would let us start off a series with a brothel and 2 cold-blooded murders? Nope. He said, Kathleen Kennedy fought for it and got it for us. So, hey, give credit where it's due. But now, who was it? I think it was Variety did a cost breakdown, and they said that number is really huge, but when you break it down, it roughly works out to, if you had 6 2-hour and 20-minute movies, would have cost about $105 million per movie, which is actually kind of reasonable.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, Andor was made with absolute high tentpole cinematic coverage. Now, did they spend too much? I think there's an argument to be had there. But all I care about right now is the results. And the results were the best experience I've had watching Star Wars in over 30 years. And I'm super happy about that.
Also, they were shooting on locations in Europe. They were traveling around. I mean, there was not a lot of profligate spending going on here. It's not like somebody was lining their pockets with the budget. It's all up on screen.
On every dime. Again, like, I like the way they phrase that. Like, if you broke this down into like a bunch of 2-hour and 10-minute movies, the budget's 110 million or 105 million, whatever. It's like, yeah, I see that. I see every cent of it on screen. I see every cent of it on the screen.
Yeah. And like shows like, Rings of Power, the rights they paid alone were like $450 million for the rights to, just Lord of the Rings and the appendices and all that. Whereas something like this, I mean, what's really interesting to me about Andor is, I mean, if you compare the way it looked to, say, The Acolyte, and this is not, I don't want to throw shade at The Acolyte here.
I'll throw it for you. Acolyte sucked.
Well, the way it looked.
Yes.
The stage bound, the Star Wars shows have become very stage bound, but very reliant on the volume. And to see, one of the great things about Andor was just to see, it looked like when you were on Coruscant, it looked like a real Coruscant.
It looked like a real world.
Yeah, Coruscant in the prequel series was very CG. It was very, whereas they made Coruscant, I know they used a lot of very well-known European locations to create that futuristic feel, but it didn't matter to me that, oh, I've seen that building before, because it looked great. And everything about it felt the same way. It was like when you watched Star Wars for the first time, it felt like what you were watching was real, or how Dune looks. When you watch Villeneuve's Dune, this looks like they shot on location in Arrakis. I mean, and to capture that look, I mean, that's where entertainment should be now. And look, that movie, I've watched Andor. I've watched episode 8 of Andor 4 times.
Wow.
Of this new season, just to study it. as from an editorial exercise, because in an article they were talking about how they could jump around to just about anybody because setting up the tension. I hope that episode wins best. Are they giving out a best single episode for the Emmys this year?
That's what's on the table. They're proposing.
Yeah, well,
which I think
episode 8 of Andor.
I love that idea. Guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's video, Ridge. Okay, let's talk about this. This is easily one of my favorite upgrades I've made all year. This right here is the Ridge wallet, and it is such an upgrade over my old bulky leather wallet. You know the one, it looked like a sandwich and it felt like you were sitting on a brick. Ridge is a sleek, modern wallet that holds up to 12 cards plus cash, and look at this slim design. It's made from premium materials like aluminum, titanium, and carbon fiber. Mine is absolutely beautiful and I get compliments on it all the time. And here's a part of it that really gives me peace of mind. It's got RFID blocking technology. That means your info stays safe from digital pickpockets. Plus, every Ridge wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. This is literally the last wallet you'll ever need. And right now, just in time for Father's Day, Ridge is having a huge sale. Get up to 40% off your order at ridge.com/Campea. Just head to ridge.com/Campea to find the perfect gift for dad or yourself. When you check out, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Give dad the upgrade he deserves this year. So here's the other interesting thing, though, that came out, because one of the things about Andor, as good as it is, because it does not look anything at all like traditional Star Wars, and it's not all the characters we already know, the problem was that even though the first season of Andor was spectacular, it didn't have like big banger numbers, right? It just didn't. So that was one thing. But, you know, when you make quality, more people will come. Well, according to the reports coming out now, everything Andor started putting out, more and more people watched, taking huge leaps. This is what's written over in the Hollywood Reporter. They wrote, Andor, meanwhile, had 821 million minutes of viewing on Disney Plus as it released its second batch of 3 episodes. This is talking about its second week, which was already, the first week was already a record high, was the record high viewership for Andor. Then in the second week, it went up another 14%. It grew by 100 million minutes week to week, a gain of about 14%, and its audience even got younger. Nielsen says 23% of the audience was made up of adults 18 to 34 versus 18% the week earlier. So we're talking about a series that, because of the quality, the word of mouth started getting out. People started talking about it. Listen, this Andor season 1 was great. They tune in record numbers for the debut of season 2, and it was so good, they all came back plus another 14% for the next week. And then from what we're hearing already, those numbers just keep going up and up and up. As opposed to, say, something like Acolyte or Ahsoka, where the numbers started pretty good and they started to decline week after week until you finally got to the finales, right? So I think Andor, while you obviously cannot do an Andor season 3, I think Andor is going to be something that people are going to be going back to watch a lot over the years. I think this is going to become a touchstone moment for them. Again, I don't want all my Star Wars to be like Andor.
No.
I do want the high fantasy adventure. I do want lightsaber fights. I want big space battles. Like, I want that too. I want that type of Star Wars, but I want to see more of this kind of Star Wars too.
Let me ask you a question. If they were to do another season of like a Rebels animated show, and it was about the early days of Luthen, would you watch it? Would you want somebody else to do Luthen's character other than Tony Gilroy? I
have two brains on this, because on the one hand, I'm not a big fan of prequel stuff. Like going back to see this again. I mean, and ultimately that's what Rogue One was, and that's what Andor is. But do I want them to keep doing that? I want them to maintain this kind of show, but I still overall want the Star Wars universe to move forward.
Look, I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't want somebody else. It's not fair to say this, but I don't want someone else to go in and tell me Luthen's backstory.
Yeah.
It's not theirs to tell.
Yeah, we got a little bit of Luthen's. Yeah. All the backstory we needed, we got in Andor season 2.
Yes, because it's, to me, that's I think a lot of problems with a lot of our IP today. If you didn't create the IP and you come in, you're inherently trying to make it more of your own. So I understand that creative impulse. But like a character like Luthen, who's one of the great Star Wars characters, one of the great characters in science fiction fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, one of the great, that performance, you really would want somebody who is, it's their character to tell you their backstory. If you had somebody else come along, it's kind of fake. It doesn't feel like it's as real. I mean, it's silly to say with an IP because you want other writers and other people to come in. And I mean, it didn't bother me that James Cameron was telling us more of Ripley's story in Aliens because it seemed authentic.
Right.
As long as somebody's good doing it, I guess.
But honestly, and I say this without irony, without hyperbole, without anything. The season 1 speech that Luthen gives to Young in that turbo lift when they're having their secret murder, their secret meeting, and he gives the speech of, I burned my life for a sunrise I know I'll never see, or something along those lines. I put that up there with the Braveheart speech. Would you dare for just one chance for freedom? Like whatever. I put it up there as top 1, 2, or 3 of the greatest speeches ever given on television. Like seriously, I've watched that speech. I don't even know how many times. It's just like one of the greatest performances ever. And I'm very happy for the success of Andor. But even somebody who loved it as much as I do, even I got to say, when I saw that $650 million price tag for 2 seasons, woo, that's an expensive show, man. But I mean, look what we got. It's simply the best thing that ever had the label Star Wars on it, at least since I was a kid. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about these interesting facts? Number one, that the Andor viewership just kept going up and up and up. Something not a lot of the Star Wars shows do. But secondly, the revelation that Tony Gilroy saying this thing cost Disney $650 million to do, and they let them do it. I'm very grateful to let them do it. I don't know that I would have greenlit it, but I'm glad they did. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.